All right, I'm back with the mental block. So I'm going to reiterate the themes of the mental block for knee pain. So number one is not as flexible as you want to believe you are. Number two is you don't have to fear losing control by bending to the will of others or accepting new ideas. 3, allow yourself the flexibility to see things from another perspective. 4, you have misinterpreted bending to mean on your knees in submission. 5, you may have some latent fear of being too flexible related to one of your parents. 6, accept some help once in a while from those who care. Okay, so here's my journal entry. True, I would like to believe that I am more flexible than I am, which we covered in the emotional side, where it's obvious that I'm pretty inflexible. So for the next part, the losing control and bending to the will of others, I can see that bending to the will of others and accepting new ideas could make for an easier future for me if those people or that person has my highest interests at heart. And it's up to me to make sure that I only let those people in instead of shutting everyone out. So I kind of frame that in a more of an affirmation, like an acknowledgement of basically what has been holding me back from being flexible in friendships and relationships. And that it's up to me to be sure that I am letting people in who are safe, right? Because this shutting people out thing comes from the place of being, afraid that if I let people in, that they're going to sabotage my life. Essentially, that's where it comes from. Then the third one, this is really interesting. It says about misinterpreting bending to mean being on your knees in submission. And so I think that this is really interesting because I think this is the trigger for when this knee stuff manifested in my life. Because at the time, so here's what I wrote. This knee thing manifested when my ex-husband and his mother and sister tried to put me in that position of basically being on my knees in submission. So without going into the story of it, together they financially put me in a position where I had nobody behind me to support me while they funneled money from from my mother-in-law to my sister-in-law and then to my ex-husband into his account to pay a lawyer to basically harass me by making me do all these things to prepare for court. When I had no one in my corner and I had to act as my own lawyer to do all that paperwork that was legally expected of me because of this court stuff. So I basically was on my knees in submission in that sense at that time in my life. I had no other choice but to either take it lying down and just, not stand up for myself, or I had to face all of this on my own without any support. So that, I believe, because that exactly coincides with during that time is when this knee thing manifested itself. Okay, so then let's go to the next part, which is you may have some latent fear of being too flexible related to one of your parents. And so what came up for me here is that I saw my grandmother being what I thought or believe to be too flexible. So I think there's a part of me that also just never wanted to be in that position. I never wanted to be in that position that I, heard from about my grandmother, about, how she wanted to be more involved socially or travel back to Germany and see her family. But my grandfather didn't want to go. So that stopped her from doing what she wanted to do to keep her her relationship up with her siblings and her mom. My grandma's passed away now, so it's just bringing up a lot. So these were things that made me go like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to let like a man hold me back from doing what I want to do in life. Okay, so the final part was accept some help once in a while from those who care. Okay, so what I wrote was, I don't feel that the people who are in my life who care about me want to help me in any tangible way. I do feel that they're available to listen, but they offered me no real support when I was at my lowest and needed a leg up during the time that my ex and his family were trying to take me down. So yeah, I could see that definitely being, a block for me, even believing that, anybody would want to help me, right? Like when you feel that way. So that's how I felt when this initially started with my knee, that's how I felt. So I could see this being thread throughout it. It was like, I couldn't act on this mindset shift because I didn't believe that anybody wanted to help me. So that's where I'm at with the insight that's come from the journaling on the mindset and beliefs and mental stuff going on around my knee. I'll be back after I do the spiritual work.